Well, when my stepfather was demobbed from the army, he was in the Second World War in the army. Uncle Sam had a program, the Marshall Plan, which would allow soldiers, military people who hadn't had the opportunity to go to university to do so. But my mother was the one with the money, so she sort of called the troubles. And she decided in her great wisdom that we'd go to Europe, because her money would go much further in Europe and they could live in style and have help and so forth in war-torn Europe. And we ended up in Grenoble in France, which is where the Winter Olympics took place some years ago. So you know it's near the mountains, near the Alps. And they didn't know what to do with me. I couldn't go to the lycée because I didn't have the language. I only had schoolgirl French. And I was 14 when we arrived in Europe. And I was, of course, nanny looking after the other 3 little girls. So they decided to send me to the Beaux-Arts. But of course, you didn't get to the Beaux-Arts unless you'd done the baccalaureate, and you didn't do the baccalaureate until you were able to be 18 to graduate. So I was a little young. However, I was what we call in Jamaica force ripe. And people didn't realize I was just about to have my 15th birthday. And I was as big as I am. In fact, I was bigger than I am now. I've lost inches. But of course, things were distributed a little better at that time. And my mother was very persuasive to Monsieur le Directeur, who said it was impossible for me to go there. And she batted her eyelashes a few times, and finally he relented and said, yes, 1 month. At the end of a month, it was 3 months. At the end of 3 months, nobody mentioned it again, and I stayed 3 years. But they were very tumultuous years because it was not easy. And of course, as a girl of 15, just literally the week I went into the school in the September, I was taking buses late at night and having little sleep and having to get back and forth and fight my way, because in those days, a young woman, in Europe certainly, did not travel alone anywhere. You always had a chaperone. So the very fact that I didn't have a chaperone meant I was fair game. And that was not easy. And I had some really nasty experiences. And in fact, I did get raped when I was 16. And so I started out learning the hard way. And I was en pension, which means that you see, all the men had been killed in the war, and therefore the women had no form of income. So they rented out their rooms to students and visitors. And so I was in a home, and there were 2 men who were in the home as well, and that's where the trouble started. But what was interesting is I was only given a very limited amount of money. The school was free, but the art supplies, every art student will know, are very, very expensive. And I had to pay rent. And so, since there was only 1 toilet in the apartment for the 3 visitors as well as the whole family, we all shared. We had a basin in our room. Goodness knows what went into that basin, but no bath. So I would go out for the public bath. And I could only afford a bath once a week. So I would go with my raincoat, whether it was winter or summer, and put all my few dirty clothes underneath the raincoat. And there would be a big enclave and an old crone in black who would be there to collect your money. And she would go and set your bath for you, put on the boiling hot water and the cold water. Then, once you turned that off, if you dared to turn it on again, she'd come back and charge you again. So what I would do is I would get in the bath, wash my hair, wash myself, get out, wash my clothes. I couldn't rinse them, but the few clothes that I had, I would wash them, wring them out as much as possible, and go out under my raincoat. I think they always thought I was pregnant or something. So that was the sort of life I led during Europe. But you know, I didn't consider it a hardship. I figured that's how it is. Everybody lives that way. So I didn't feel deprived, but I had to fight. But then I had the holidays with my family, they moved to Italy, so I was in Florence. I went to the opera. We went to Bellagio for summer holiday, had a villa, so it was a total contrast again between the town mouse and the city mouse. So in a different context. But I certainly couldn't have done that to my daughter. I don't know what kind of a mother I had. She was beautiful, she was wonderful, she was intelligent, but there was definitely a flaw when it came to mothering, in my opinion.